Hello, welcome back to my channel yet again. Today we have quite the video. As some of you may know, I began my YouTube channel not too long ago, but that's because I began reading not too long ago, and I may have bought way too many books. But do not fret, all of them except for, I think, 4 of them are used. So I'm not damaging the environment or anything. I'm only buying used books, I promise, okay? I promise. So today we have a massive book haul. It's mostly Stephen King. There's a couple books in here that aren't Stephen King, but I've been preparing for my journey to Dark Tower, and I'm excited to share with you all what I bought. So I have a couple duplicates. I think maybe just 2. But yeah, let's begin. Okay, so to get started, I'm gonna start off with some of the mass market paperbacks I bought because I bought a couple of those. I have some other paperbacks I'm gonna talk about too. But so the first book is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. Now this book was recommended to me by a friend, and I bought it used in my local half price books along with a couple others that'll be in this video. But when I saw it, I just had to get it, because I've heard so many good things about it. I've heard it's pretty much the Canterbury Tales, but in like sci-fi form, and obviously I love science fiction. So I hope that this book is as good for me as it is for everybody else who's read it. Like, I've seen so many people talk about it, like Quinn's Ideas, who I talked about in my first video. He talked about it, and yeah, it was like $4. So I was like, why not? It might be pretty good. Haven't read it yet, but I plan to get to it soon. Okay, maybe my next 2 or 3 books. So I should have a review of this up eventually. Okay, the next mass market paperback book that I bought last month is Bag of Bones by Stephen King. I found this one on my local St. Vinny's, and I was kind of shocked because they had mostly like religious books, so I didn't think that a horror/thriller book would be on there. But it was like $1.50. So again, I kind of had to buy it. It was like I didn't have this one yet, and I'm gonna get to it eventually. I have a lot of books to read right now, so my TBR is very long, and it doesn't help that I keep watching YouTube videos, that I keep recommending new books, and I keep adding them to my TBR, and I keep buying them. It's like I got a lot of money recently because I just graduated from high school. And so I got a lot of money from my relatives and my friends for grad party. And so I spent most of it on books. I mean, it's better than spending on some other things, but yeah, so I bought Bag of Bones from my local thrift store. And the next book is also another Stephen King mass market. Just bought this one a couple days ago from filming this. Skeleton Crew by Stephen King. So I'm really excited to read this one. I'm going to read this one pretty soon. Most of you might know, it has The Mist in it, which is they made it into a movie a while ago. I've watched the movie, so I know how the story goes in essence, and it's really good. But another story I'm really excited for in this one is The Jaunt. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's a sci-fi Stephen King, which isn't something you see very often. Like, the only thing that I can consider that'd be pretty close to science fiction or some of his alien stories, one of which I'll talk about later. But 11/22/63, because it has that time travel part of it. But I'm really excited to read Skeleton Crew because it has so many good stories. It's pretty long too. It's like over 550 pages long, this edition is. But yeah, I was looking for first edition hardcover because I like to collect hardcovers. That's my thing. I'm sure it's a lot of people's things too, but this one was just fine. It was like $2 in my half price books. So, I thought might as well, because I'm going to read it anyways. I need it on my journey to the Dark Tower, which apparently has some references to the Dark Tower and the Mist. So all right, this next one is not a mass market paperback, but it is still a paperback. And usually I like to get books that are in good condition, but this one was really cheap, and didn't have the book yet, so I just needed to get it because it's one of Stephen King's best works, and that would be It by Stephen King. So obviously a chunker. This one's like 1,150 pages long, a little bit beat up on the front, but words are still there, So at that point, it doesn't really matter. This is the 2017, I think it is, movie tie-in, and I don't really care. I wanted to get the original hardcover, but those things are like $50 used on eBay, and it's like, oh my gosh, I cannot spend that much money on a single book. I mean, I have before, but I'm not going to spend that much money on a single book, at least not right now, because I'm trying to buy more books instead of more expensive books. So yeah, I'm also going to get into this one soon. I will definitely be reading this one before I finish the Dark Tower series, because there are some connections to this, and I've heard the 7th book of the Dark Tower series, so I have to read it before that. And then, as I mentioned, I had my grad party recently, and my great uncle gave me a $50 Barnes & Noble gift card. And I don't really like Barnes & Noble that much. I feel like it's a little bit too expensive. And case in point, if I'd gotten like a $50 half price books gift card, I probably could have bought like 8 books maybe. But instead, I did buy the first 3 works that Stephen King published: Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining, from Barnes & Noble. This is like $50. Because it's $3 and each of them are like 16. Like paperbacks are expensive now. Like, geez. But yeah, I've already read Carrie, and I thought Carrie was pretty good, but I have yet to read Salem's Lot and The Shining. I will be reading Salem's Lot on my journey to the Dark Tower. But yeah, this is a pretty nice set. They got some considerable flop to them, you know. I like with it, it's a little bit stiffer, but it still has a good flop, you know. But I like my books to have a good flop, because then it holds nice. Like this one is pretty floppy. But the one here that has the best flop for sure is Salem's Lot. Like, look at that. It's beautiful. You flip through the pages. I love it when paperbacks are like that. But yeah, on to the next one. So I've mentioned my journey to the Dark Tower a couple times now, and it's impossible to go to the Dark Tower without actually having the Dark Tower books. So I bought these from Half Price Books for like $70, which is crazy because the series on Amazon, this box set, I had my wish list for a while. It was like $160, which is a massive saving. But this has a really funny story behind it. So I was in I'm gonna cut that out. I was in the city near me for a doctor's appointment recently, and there's 2 Half Price Books locations in my city. But I went to the first one, which is completely on the other side of town to where I was, because it was the only one that was near, or it was actually the closest one to me at that time. But so I went there, and I came in with the idea I wanted to buy the Dark Tower series, and so that's what I did. Except for the fact that they didn't have the Gunslinger. It's kind of hard to read the series without reading the Gunslinger first, because that's the first book, you know. But so I'm like, you know, whatever. I'll just order it off Amazon or something. I'll get it at the library. And so I went to my doctor's appointment, which just so happened to be at right next to the other Half Price Books. And so I had books 2 through 7 in assorted hardcovers and mass market paperbacks, and I was like kind of disappointed with it. And I also bought another book I have here. I will show you guys. But when I got to the other one, they had this entire box set just sitting on that shelf, and it was like this almost the same price as what I paid for the other ones. So I'm like, can I return the other books that I just bought here? And the guy at the counter is like, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. And I did that, and then I came up with this. So I'm very excited. I have read books 1 and 2 so far, and they've been very good. I don't know what people are talking about. The Gunslinger is amazing, and the drawing of the 3 is even better. So I can't wait to review this series, and I can't wait to review some of these individual books. Okay, my next book, or books, I guess, is the duplicate I was talking about. And it's known as one of Stephen King's best works, and there's kind of a story behind this too. This is the Stand by Stephen King, and this is the Anchor edition. This is like the Carrie and the Salem's Lot and the Shining that I had earlier. But I found this one used as well. This is like $10, so I'm like, I'm gonna read The Stand for Any Way to the Dark Tower, because obviously the main antagonist plays a big part in the Dark Tower too. But so I bought this, and then a couple days later, I was at Half Price Books, and I found this. And this is the Doubleday hardcover, the uncut. And when I first saw this on like a YouTube video, I can't remember whose YouTube video I was watching. I'm like, I have to have that. Like this, I don't know, just for me, this is the most beautiful book cover of all time. I just love it. And I knew it was crazy because like, when I saw it, I'm like, there's no way they actually have it. And it was $20. So like, I'm like, that's like 1.5 hours of work. I'll sacrifice 1.5 hours to work to get this. And so yeah, I bought it, but I'm probably going to read this one when I actually read The Stand, because it has some incredible flop. Look at this. It's just amazing. The flop value on this is amazing. I love that word. But yeah, this one is probably just a display one. I love this. I love this hardcover. I love this dust jacket. And yeah, I think I'm very excited. I think this might be my next book that I'm reading. I'm currently reading The Talisman, which is co-written by Stephen King and Peter Straub. But I might be reading The Stand next. Who knows? We'll see if I get too tired after reading The Talisman. I'm like 250 pages into it right now, and it's kind of slow, so I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would. Which I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying that I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I thought I would going into it. So that might affect whether or not I want to continue with Stephen King for a little bit, or take a little break, maybe go to like a sci-fi book or something, like I was saying, Hyperion. But yeah, I think that I'll update you guys on that. I'll do like a TBR review sometime, or maybe just my next video you'll find out. Okay, and this is the last non-Stephen King book I have over here, and it is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And so I heard a lot about this book. I heard a lot of people saying that this is like one of their favorite sci-fi books. I can't remember what booktuber it was. If I remember later, I'll tell you guys. But I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's quite short, and I found this one used as well. even though it says book of the month there. Like I know it's like the book club edition or whatever, but I found this one used, so I'm like I might as well. So I just thought I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's pretty short, so I could probably read this in like 1 or 2 days. Since I read like the Drawing of the Three, which is like a 450-page book in like 3 days. I think I could read a 300-page book in less than maybe 2 days. But yeah, I've heard a lot of good things, and I'm very excited to read this one. We're not even halfway done. This is insane stacking over here. Okay, and then this is the only other brand new one other than the set of Carrie, The Shining, and Salem's Lot. And this is You Like It Darker. It's Stephen King's new novel, it's not a novel. It's a short story collection, but it seems tiny, but it's almost like 500 pages. Like the pages are kind of tiny, like probably kind of thin paper. But I've heard a lot of good things about this. And wait, I just realized this is like a crocodile. That's so cool. Like, cause like, oh, like it wraps her. Oh, that's it's like I don't know how I didn't realize that. I thought it was just like an island or something. But yeah, so I'm excited to read this one but I do have to read a couple books before this one. So there's a sequel to Cujo in here, and Cujo I've heard is like a novel that gets spoiled easily by some like Needful Things and books like that, and so I have to read that one soon. But I have to read a lot of books soon. My TBR is getting pretty long. A lot of Stephen King books too. But this is a nice edition. I got it $5 off. Usually it sells for 30, but I got it for $25, which is kind of nice. But yeah, this is just another grad money thing. It was pretty cool, and I wanted to buy it. If you guys can tell, I'm on kind of like a Stephen King binge right now, and that's not stopping anytime soon, because the next book I bought is Insomnia by Stephen King. This is another chunker. This is really thick. I think it's like 850 pages or something like that. It's around it's like 775, I guess. I thought it was longer than that. Pretty much a Ninth Dark Tower book, I've heard. So I heard it has like a lot of references to like Dark Tower, and I plan to read this one after Wizarding Glass, which is yet another long book that I have to. Oh my gosh, does anybody else have this problem? Like I add books to my TBR faster than I could read books. Like it's kind of a problem. But yeah, so I've heard some pretty good mixed reviews about this one. So I hope I like it, but if I don't, I won't be super disappointed because I didn't set my hopes too high. So the next book I bought is one of Stephen King's novella collections. This is another first edition one. Most of these are first editions too. The Stand isn't, sadly, like the Doubleday edition, but you get what you can get. Like Insomnia was, obviously Like It Darker was, since it was brand new, but this one's also first edition, and it is 4 Past Midnight. So this one I've heard some mixed reviews about as well. I've heard like for every single story in this, I've heard it's either amazing or horrible, except for the Library of Prometheus one, which I've heard is just kind of bad. But I mean, I can deal with that because I've heard that Secret Window, Secret Garden, and The Langoliers are overwhelmingly positive. The Sundog's kind of meh, but I kind of have to read the Sundog anyways if I want to end up reading Needful Things. But yeah, so this book, it's pretty long too. It's like 700 pages. Like when you compare it to Insomnia, it seems like Insomnia would be a lot longer, but they're actually about the same length. I think Insomnia might just have thicker pages. But yeah, another Stephen King book. Probably will be a while before I get to this one, but hopefully I get to it within this year. So if some of you guys don't know, I don't know if I mentioned it, but there's this guy on YouTube named Jimmy Mango, and he did a video about what order to read the Dark Tower in with its like supplemental books. Like there's books outside like Insomnia that are pretty much required to read that enhance your experience. And there's some that like suggested. So I'm just going through his entire 23 book list. That's why I'm reading The Talisman right now. But another book that was on that list is Everything's Eventual. And this one I think has 2 short stories that relate to it. But I've also heard it's a pretty good collection. So I think that this one's also first edition. I think I can check. I don't know if I checked this one yet, actually. Yep. See if it has like the numbers there. That means it's first edition if it's a Scribner Stephen King or a Viking Stephen King book. But yeah, I'm excited to read this one too. It'll be a little bit before I read this one. I'll probably read this one before 4 Past Midnight though. So hopefully I get to it very soon. Alright, so my next book is Gerald's Game. So I've heard some more mixed reviews about this one. Like I posted on my story about how I got this one alongside a couple other books, and actually with the Dark Tower set. And one of my friends was like, don't read it, it's weird and like stuff. And it's like, but yeah, obviously because of like the topic, if you know what I'm talking about, like the premise of this book is weird, and Stephen King is gonna make a book about a weird topic like weird. It's like kind of like a taboo kind of thing. So I'm excited to read this one because I want to see what he does with it. But yeah, so I wish I had also gotten Dolores Claiborne because those two are kind of like mirrors, you know, like they're like twins in a way. Like they're published like very similar times, I think, and they have very similar styles. They're pretty short, And yeah, that's another one I've heard. That's another one I've heard is really good. Next, we have From Butte. This one's pretty recent. I bought this one only like a couple days ago as of recording alongside. Which one was it? Skeleton Crew, and one that's coming up later. But so I bought this one, and I thought that, or actually with Everything's Eventual too. So this is another one I think that has a couple Dark Tower connections to it, I've heard. And this one I probably won't get to for a while. I'll probably get to this one after reading the Dark Tower, because I think it's just like Easter eggs kind of thing, like how like Rose Madder has like Easter eggs, I've heard. I'm also getting that one soon, so maybe I'll review that one. We'll see. Stay tuned. But yeah, so I'm excited to read this one because I like cars, I think they're kind of interesting, and I've heard good things about this one. So I've heard this one's pretty good. All right, so the other book that I got a couple days ago is Dreamcatcher. And so this one is very controversial. This one is every single like tier ranking list review I've seen has put this one in like the bottom 5. But honestly, I like aliens, I like space, so I think I might like this one a little bit better. I'm going to read it first because it takes place in Derry. But I really hope that I can sort of relate this one a little bit better. If I don't like it, you know, whatever, who cares? I bought this one for $5. And I like the cover though, so I think it's a pretty chunky one. It's like 700 pages, I think. But yeah, I'm excited to read this one, but it'll be a long time before I actually get around to it. Okay, and all 3 of those last ones and this next one were first editions too. So this is a really nice one. Lucy's Story. This copy is magnificent. It's like mint condition. There's like no bumps, anything anywhere. There's maybe like one folded page in here or something like that. Like you can see that right there. But the thing I love the most about this book is just when you take off the dust jacket, it has this is like the actual hardcover of the book, and it's just so pretty. I don't know, I feel like it's like kind of like a world inside the book, kind of, and like the dust jacket has like this little card. I can like look through it, you know. But this one will be a lot of these will be a while until I read them. If they're not in like the order for Dark Tower or like the supplementals for the Dark Tower, I won't read them pretty soon. So like this one, 4 Past Midnight, You Like It Darker, Gerald's Game. It'll probably be a while until I read some of those. But I am excited to read that one because I also just love the hardcover. I might have said that already, but it's pretty beautiful. All right, this is one of the ones with Dark Tower connections that you actually have to pretty much read to understand Dark Tower and to get full grasp of all the stuff that goes on in it. And it is Hearts in Atlantis. So some of you might be wondering, some of you don't know, it's like, why would a short story compilation have so much to do with the Dark Tower? And I think what I've heard is that there's one story in here called Low Men in Yellow Coats that pretty much describes like a certain character's henchman in the Dark Tower. And I think that's kind of an essential thing to read if you're going to eventually dive into the Dark Tower. But yeah, so obviously I had to read this one, and then there's one other book that I have on here that's on my Dark Tower reading list. But we only have 3 books left, so I think we're making pretty good time. I've had a lot of books here to talk about, but my haul is almost over. I promise. If you're getting bored, okay. I hope you're not getting bored, but it's almost over. All right, this third to last book that I have, I got this one recently as well. I think the same time I got the Stand Doubleday at my Half Price Books. This is another chunker, and it is Needful Things by Stephen King. First edition. It's in really good shape, which I'm really proud of and really happy about. There's a little bit of gunk on the back here, but nobody's going to care about that. All they care about is this beautiful front cover. So I've heard a lot of good things about Needful Things. I've heard it's kind of underrated in a way, even though it's like a lot of people recognize it's very good. It's kind of hard to get here because you have to read like 3 or 4 other books that relate to Castle Rock before you can read this one. But yeah, I love the cover. It's beautiful. I'm a big cover guy, you know, so that's why I get all the original hardcovers because they look great. They look so good. Most of them are pretty cool, anyways. One of the next ones up here is pretty cool as well, and it has a cool tie-in with another one. But yeah, so I'm excited to read this one. It'll be a while because I have to read Cujo, The Dead Zone, and I think The Dark Half before I read this one. But so only 2 left to go, but we're almost done. So this is the second to last book. This is one of his oldest works. This is one I got off eBay a couple weeks ago, and it is Night Shift by Stephen King. This is what I've heard is this and Different Seasons are tied for like his best short stories / novella collections. And I'm really excited because it has some really ones that I know about. Like there's Children of the Corn. There's Children of the Corn. That's one I heard about. There's probably some other one. Oh, there's like one a little bit about Salem's Lot. So I'm excited to read this one. This is also a really nice old hardcover. It's in really good shape. And yeah, on to the last one. Okay, and by the way, The Night Shift sadly was not for first edition. If it was, it would have been like a lot more expensive. I got it for like $14. But so this last book is a really nice, really good shape first edition of The Regulators by Richard Bachman. So obviously this one came out at the same time as Desperation, as most of you might know. And I don't have Desperation with me right now. It's in my room right now. I'm not gonna go grab it. But the cover is like has like a little shot in the fence to the cover of Desperation. They like line up if you put them side by side. I think that's so cool. Maybe I'll display them like that eventually. But this is a really nice shape. I've heard it's not that great of a book, but I really wanted to get it just so that I could put it up next to Desperation and have them like side by side, you know. But yeah, so that's it for today. I know quite the large haul, and I have a lot of reading to do. So that means for you guys, I'll have more reviews coming soon. Okay. I think my next review will probably be 11/22/63 by Stephen King. So stay tuned for that and have a great day.